The lush and fertile countryside of Emilia-Romagna is said to be Italy's top region for food. After all, it's home to world-famous delicacies like Parma ham, mortadella, Parmesan cheese, balsamic vinegar, tortellini, Bolognese sauce, and lasagna. Right in the center of Emilia-Romagna sits Modena, a small, charming, and by Italian standards, tranquil city. We recently spent a month living here, exploring, discovering, and indulging in the irresistible local cuisine. We visited a local dairy to see how Parmesan cheese is made. We learned how to make tortellini from scratch. And we discovered a surprising tradition around Modena's liquid gold, aceto balsamico. We also found a new favorite snack, the gnocco fritto. So come along and let us show you around Modena's delectable food scene. If Modena is at the heart of Emilia-Romagna, then the Mercato Albinelli is at the heart of Modena. Any food tour in Modena has to start at the Mercato Albinelli. Modena's ambitious home cooks as well as top chefs shop here on a daily basis, and so did we. Since 1931, this covered market houses dozens of food stalls selling fresh local produce next to cozy bistros that spill out to the pedestrian street outside. Giusti is a prominent name in Modena. You see it everywhere. Most notably, it's the name of one of the premier makers of balsamic vinegar, which we'll talk about later. But this family, whose history dates back to the early 1600s, also gave their name to one of the most remarkable delis in all of Italy, the Salumeria Giusti. While the storefront offers a curated selection of cured meats, cheeses, and prepared foods, there's a secret passage that leads to an elegant and intimate dining room in the back with only 4 tables, the Osteria Giusti. We'll talk more about this restaurant in our next episode. As for the Salumeria, I loved coming here and chatting with the personnel about the different types of deli meats, and discovered a new kind of prosciutto while doing so, the culatello. These are prized center cuts of the ham, more flavorful and less fatty than a regular prosciutto. Give it a try if you're in the area.
Sounds like you had a nice conversation.
Totally.
What did you learn about?
In detail, and he cut the salami by hand. It's like, wow. When they tied the salami, they tied it into 7 parts so that it was basically dosed for each day of the week. They ate a little bit of salami every day. They wanted to make sure one salami lasted a week, so they had to ration it.
It looks like a very authentic shop.
I asked him how long they've been here. Well, I guess it says 1605 up there. He said centinaia, hundreds of years, or centuries.
It looks like it.
Awesome place.
Wow. Okay.
Next, we head over to the Quattro Madonne Parmesan Dairy for a surprisingly informative and entertaining guided tour of the facilities.
And we have 3 local cows.
We learned a little about all aspects of the production process. But to be honest, we had the most fun in the aging warehouse, where we happened to meet one of the inspectors who came to test each wheel and give it a seal of approval. A wheel of Parmesan needs to age at least 12 months before it can be sold. Most Parmesan cheese is sold at 18 to 24 months of aging, with some aging as much as 60 months. At the 12-month mark, each wheel needs to be inspected to make sure there are no defects. This is done by a professional Parmesan cheese inspector who taps the rind of the wheel, listening for impurities. Based on what he hears, he will give it one of 3 ratings.
Sono 3 diversi perché sono 3, quando facciamo la battitura ci sono 3 tipologie, cioè questo è la prima scelta, il classico. Queste sono le forme che hanno una difettologia che comunque non pregiudica la stagionatura, perciò diciamo il mezzano. E queste invece sono quelle che purtroppo non hanno più la DOP e sono lo scarto, quelle che gli viene tolta la crosta e non sono più parmigiano reggiano. Io glielo faccio, non farlo venire via.
The inspector gave Maya his seal of approval as well, premium grade of course. Those premium grade hands were now eager to get started with our tortellini making instruction, but we had to wait just a few more days. So in the meantime, we went to visit the aging rooms and museum of the premier aceto balsamico producer in Modena, Acetaia Giusti. Here too, we were treated to an interesting tour and learned a lot about the history as well as the decades-long process of aging. Top-quality balsamic vinegar ages in a variety of wood barrels for 20 to 30 or more years, preferably under the roof of a warm and humid attic, being remixed and rebalanced at least once a year.
Oh yeah. Almost like prunes.
Wow. Facts and figures aside, for us the most interesting revelation about balsamic vinegar happened by chance. When we asked our tour guide how many people in Modena are certified master aceto makers, she told us about a centuries-old tradition of Modenese families. When a daughter was born into a well-to-do family, either the father or grandfather would invest in a battery of aceto barrels and install them in the attic. Then, over the next 2 to 3 decades, they would tend to the aging process of the grape must inside so that it would develop into liquid gold and grow to be of substantial value. It essentially became the dowry for the daughter. Better than buying bonds, I guess. Most of Modena's delicacies are well known around the world, except one, the Nyoko Frito. Puffy fried dough often served with various cold cuts aside an aperitif. Many Modenese also eat it for breakfast, dunking one into their coffee. The best Nyoko Frito is done al momento, fried to order, served piping hot with the cold cuts melting into the dough when the plate arrives at your table.
Grazie.
Wow. It's a very popular snack in Modena, and despite being distracted by other local goodies, we too couldn't resist the Nyoko Frito. Tortellini are the rock stars of pasta in Emilia-Romagna. Here in Modena and in Bologna, they're typically served in a meat broth, or, that's right, in a Parmesan cream sauce. Once considered to be a special treat for holidays, today tortellini are found almost everywhere. But not all tortellini are made equally. The best ones are handmade out of egg-based dough that is thin enough to see through and filled with a morsel of meat made from pork legs, prosciutto, mortadella, and, of course, Parmesan cheese. Making tortellini requires skill, experience, and hard work. Tortellini have always been one of my favorite kinds of pasta, and good ones are hard to find outside of Italy. So I always wanted to learn how to make them myself. And where better to do so than with the one-time winner of the Tortellini Championship of Modena, Tania Raimondi. Barely 20 years old and somewhat clueless, Tania and her younger sister started their pasta shop L'Angolo della Pasta in 1985. Over the years, they learned how to make amazing pasta and how to run a business. Today, their shop is one of the top pasta shops in Modena, having won several prizes and a loyal customer base over the years. We didn't know all this when we walked into Tania's shop and asked her if she'd give us a lesson or two. She doesn't really do classes anymore, but she was intrigued by our story and agreed to take us in, as a favor, without a fee. We tried to return the favor by being good students, but having big fingers is a bit of a handicap in this business. In the end, we did alright. We got to take home and eat the tortellini we made, and they weren't half bad. Most importantly, we had a lot of fun getting to know Tania and her crew, learning about the history and traditions of pasta making in Modena, and chatting about life in Italy and abroad. Tania, if you're watching this, thank you very much for opening up your kitchen to us and teaching us. This was easily the highlight of our month-long stay in Modena. Tania, grazie mille di cuore.
Ciao!
What are you eating?